This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch for this Thursday, April 30th. I'm George Thomas. Hopes are rising today for a promising new treatment in the fight against COVID-19. A major study shows it can speed recovery and may reduce the death rate. The news comes as the president says he won't extend social distancing guidelines that expire today. My colleague Heather Sells has a report.
The experimental drug remdesivir could have a profound effect on the pandemic, since a vaccine for COVID-19 is probably at least a year away. The government announced the good news late Wednesday.
Looking forward, this is very optimistic.
Certainly it's a positive. It's a very positive event.
The California-based biotech company Gilead makes the drug. It initially developed it to treat Ebola, but now a major study shows that it helps hospitalized COVID patients recover more quickly from the disease, an average of 11 days compared to 15 for those in a control group receiving a placebo. Those on the drug also showed a trend toward fewer deaths.
The data shows that remdesivir has a clear-cut, significant positive effect in diminishing the time to recovery. It is a very important proof of concept because what it is proven is that a drug can block this virus.
The U.S. National Institutes of Health ran the study involving just over 1,000 COVID patients in 22 countries, including the U.S. Some patients are already praising the drug for speeding their recovery.
Within 48 hours, I was feeling a lot better. I think that remdesivir gave it the extra jump start or kick start or whatever I needed to kind of turn that corner.
Experts say more study is needed. They are cautiously optimistic about the drug and the government study. It has not been peer-reviewed, but is being submitted to a journal for review. The FDA says it's working with Gilead to make remdesivir available to patients as quickly as possible, as appropriate. The drug company is ramping up production and will have more than 140,000 treatment courses available by the end of May and more than 500,000 by October. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Heather, thank you so much. For a closer look at this new drug is CBN's health reporter Lori Johnson. She joins me now. Lori, remdesivir, is this the breakthrough people have been hoping for, or is it a little too early?
It's a little bit too early, but it's so exciting because this is the very first time we've seen proof positive that there's a drug that works against the coronavirus. And a lot of our viewers are probably thinking, wait a second, haven't we been seeing for the last 8 weeks stories of people on their deathbeds and they take a certain drug, one drug or the other, and they get better? Isn't that proof that the drug works? And the answer is, from a scientific point of view, no. From a medical point of view, no, because doctors will say that they maybe could have gotten better without the drug. And so this is the first actual clinical trial that had a control group. Half of the people in this study were not given the drug. And so that's what we need to show whether it works. And as we saw, that the people who got the drug did do significantly better. So this is sort of like the first one. It's going to be called the standard of care from now on. All the other trials that are, I mean, we're talking about like almost 200 drugs that are being tried. So all of a sudden, these new trials are going to be finished, and they're all going to be compared to remdesivir. That treatment, is it better or worse than remdesivir, or in addition to remdesivir? You like a cocktail, which we see for AIDS, for example, where you take more than one drug that really is a great treatment.
I'm curious, Lori, how does this actually work?
It's an antiviral. And so what it does is it blocks the replication of the virus. What happens with viruses is they enter our bodies, we breathe them in through our nose, or we get them in our mouth because, you know, we put our fingers in our mouth after touching the virus on a surface. And then the virus penetrates our cells and reproduces. So an antiviral blocks that process. We know about antivirals, George, from the flu. Within the last decade, we've seen Tamiflu come on the market. And this is a great way to inhibit the flu every year. One of the keys about antivirals, and we're going to see if this holds true with remdesivir, is you need to try to take it as early as possible before there are lots of replications. With Tamiflu, for example, doctors say it's best to start taking it a day after you have symptoms.
Yeah, I'm curious, last question real quickly here. How can doctors give it to the patients?
Well, the FDA is going to be authorizing emergency use, which means Gilead, the company that makes it in California, is going to be sending it out all over the country to the hospitals most in need. Yeah. This is an IV drug. It's an infusion, 5 days worth, and there should be within the next month enough for 210,000 people who really need it.
Wow, real quickly, we've got 30 seconds. The president is not going to extend the social distancing guidelines. Is that a good idea?
Well, they're looking at all the data, and so he's really leaving it up to individual states and individual municipalities. Obviously, it's a good idea, but he's giving a lot of leeway to people. I mean, a place like, Little Rock, Arkansas is going to be a lot different than Manhattan. And so social distancing guidelines are still going to be in place. You can definitely count on seeing those, but it's going to be very measured depending on where you are.
Okay, terrific. Lori, you have been a tremendous service to our viewers on CBN News Channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming in. Okay, folks, we go overseas where rumors are swirling that North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, is either at death's door or waiting out COVID-19. The communist dictator's absence from the public eye leading rife speculation following stories that he underwent a heart procedure. As you can imagine, any sudden political changes in the Hermit Kingdom is sure to trigger a power struggle. When the 36-year-old dictator failed to show up 2 weeks ago to celebrate his late grandfather, rumors started flying. It was the first time ever that Kim Jong-un missed the country's most important political date.
Hints of something amiss began April 20th when a leading South Korean group claimed that Kim was recovering from a cardiovascular surgical procedure. Kim is an overweight chain smoker, and he's believed to suffer from heart disease like his father and grandfather. On Monday at the White House, President Trump claimed he was aware of Kim's situation.
I can't tell you exactly. Yes, I do have a very good idea, but I can't talk about it now. I just wish him well.
Kim was last seen April 11th. 12 days later, satellite pictures showing a train likely belonging to the North Korean leader parked near one of the family's luxury compounds. South Korean intelligence reports he's staying outside the capital, perhaps in isolation due to coronavirus. But no one is sure.
North Korea is the hardest target, what the intelligence professionals call it, because it is such a closed society. And of course, Kim Jong-un's health, his location, everything about him is really a state secret.
If something were to happen to him, experts point to Kim Yo-jong, Kim's younger sister, described as one of his most trusted advisor, as a successor. The 37-year-old's political influence has grown in recent years, playing key roles in U.S.-North Korea relations and appearing alongside her brother at major events inside the isolated country, including at missile tests and riding horses.
We know from talking to defectors that she is the one person that he trusts the most inside North Korea. In March, for the first time, she issued official statements in her name. So it looks like, we can interpret that she may be in a position where she's been being groomed to succeed him.
The Kim family bloodline has ruled the Hermit Kingdom for 3 generations. All were men. As potentially the first female leader, it's unclear whether Kim Yo-jong has what it takes to rule a country highly dominated by conservative males.
The problem there is that North Korea is pretty reactionary, quite honestly, when it comes to gender norms. And so there's a lot of discussion about whether or not the old guard in North Korea would accept the ascension of a female. But she is a blood relative, and the Kim family, the sort of monarchic feudal line of the Kim family, is a central part of North Korean mythology. So she's the obvious choice, barring the gender issue.
Another name making the rounds is Kim Pyong-il, the son of North Korea's founder Kim Il-sung. The 65-year-old spent nearly 4 decades serving in various foreign diplomatic posts before returning to North Korea last year. Still, any sudden changes could create a power vacuum. Experts say to avoid that, North Korea's powerful military would step in immediately, taking center stage until a leader is selected by the government. While rumors continue to circulate outside of North Korea, inside the country, it's life as usual. The streets of the capital Pyongyang teeming with people this week, many wearing masks as the country closed off its border in late January due to coronavirus.
Coming up, rumors continue to swirl about the location of the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Where is he and why is he hiding out? We will take a closer look at that when we come back. Stay with us, folks. Back right after this.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. You are watching the CBN News Channel. Many people are wondering, where is Kim Jong-un? As we mentioned, the North Korean dictator has missed some key events in the capital city, Pyongyang, recently leading to much speculation about the status of his health. Is he attempting to escape possible coronavirus infection by hiding out in a cave or a luxury yacht? Gary Lane posed that question to China analyst Jordan Chang on this week's episode of The Global Lane.
Tell us what's happened to Kim Jong-un. Any hard evidence of anything, or only conjecture at this point?
Mostly conjecture. As you point out, what we do know is he missed those two events, and he has never missed a Day of the Sun celebration as ruler of North Korea. So that's an indication that something is amiss. But what it is, we really don't know. There's the vegetative state, coma end of the spectrum. And the other is that he's just sort of quarantining himself because of COVID-19. And of course, since he's a Kim ruler, we can't dismiss the possibility that he's just messing with us. But I actually think it's toward the more serious end. But at this particular time, we're just going to have to wait and find out.
Well, I know from my many years of reporting about North Korea, there are always plenty of rumors, speculation, disinformation about the Hermit Kingdom and its rulers. So what makes it different this time? Anything?
Well, the thing that we got to be concerned about is who's controlling North Korea's nuclear weapons. Just because they're now much more capable of wreaking destruction across the world. So we've got to be concerned. You know, if Kim is in a coma or incapacitated or dead, there's going to be a struggle at the top of the North Korean regime. We know that there are two Kim family figures who are probably going to fight each other. There's Kim Yo-jong, Kim Jong-un's younger sister, who's in control of some elements of the North Korean regime, such as the propaganda department, which is extremely important in the Kim regime. And there's also Kim's uncle, Kim Pyong-il, a son of Kim Il-sung, the regime founder, and also he's got some advantages as well. So this is a regime that could spend a long time tearing itself apart, and we got to be concerned what happens with the weapons of mass destruction.
And so I guess you're suggesting we need to just stay calm and continue our policy. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, we just got to deter North Korea. Now, the South Koreans and the Chinese both say everything is fine. In that case, there's no reason for worry. But until we see Kim actually walk out in public with something that we can be sure is contemporaneous, we nonetheless need to be concerned.
Gordon, shifting to China, the Chinese have announced that they're close to releasing a COVID-19 vaccine to the public. I find that interesting that the country actually responsible for this global pandemic has now announced suddenly that it has a cure, and we've seen reports about those tainted COVID-19 test kits. Remember those that were sent to the U.S.? So can we trust a vaccine from China?
I don't think so. I mean, this is extraordinarily fast. And if China actually does have a vaccine, we got to be concerned about this whole origin of the coronavirus, because then it starts to look like a setup. Now, I don't think that it is, but I think what Beijing has done is it's released a vaccine much too fast, an indication that it very well may not work.
China's critical of Australia for demanding an investigation of the Wuhan Level 4 lab. It'll be hard for the U.S. to push for the same when China owns at least $1 trillion of our debt, Gordon, and Americans purchase more than $500 billion in Chinese products each year. So what can the United States do to advance transparency and hold China accountable for this COVID-19 virus?
Well, China has much more leverage over Australia than the United States. When it comes to China versus the U.S., we've got most of the high cards. So I'm not worried about that. What we can do and what we must do is impose costs on China so that the Chinese leaders don't spread another virus in the future. Chinese leaders knew that the COVID-19 was human-to-human transmissible for perhaps maybe 5.5, 6 weeks. And yet they tried to convince the world that it was not. And at the same time, they pressured countries not to impose travel restrictions and quarantines on arrivals from China. You put those two things together, and it indicates a maliciousness on the part of China, that Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, having seen what coronavirus did to China, decided to level the playing field by spreading it elsewhere. And if that's what he wanted to do, well, he would have done exactly what, in fact, he did do. And so we've got to be very concerned that this is going to happen again. So we need to impose those costs. And we can do that by seizing Treasury obligations that you just referred to. We shouldn't do that by ourselves, but we should do it in conjunction with other countries. And we should be cutting our trade links with China. You know, China's not reformable, unfortunately, or at least communist China is not reformable. So we need to reduce our vulnerability to it.
Well, you sound like you're like mind with Senator Tom Cotton on that. Okay, author, Asia analyst Gordon Chang. Thank you, Gordon, for your time and insights. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Gary.
You can watch Global Lane tonight at 9:30 Eastern, right here on the CBN News Channel. Still ahead, 17 million Americans are having a tough time putting food on the table. See how food banks and farmers are finding new ways to feed America in the face of this pandemic.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
And you are watching the CBN News Channel. According to the nation's largest network of food banks, some 17 million people could face hunger as a result of the pandemic. As Charlene Aaron shows us, food banks as well as local farmers are finding new ways to feed America.
Long lines to collect essential grocery items and other needs have become the norm. Thousands are receiving food from this Hampton, Virginia food bank, and it's a scene that's played out across the country as families are struggling to put food on their tables. In order to provide additional help, the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank now hosts drive-through giveaways.
Normally we have smaller distributions throughout the month, but to supplement what our partner agencies are doing and also to supplement some of our normal food distributions, we're planning these 400 household distributions 2 or 3 times a week.
Many are first-timers.
Of those that we have seen in these drive-through distributions, over 60% of them are new to the food bank. So these are people who have been laid off and never thought they'd be in a food line, and here they are.
The Salvation Army is also seeing a spike in requests for assistance.
We've seen some places where the demand has increased by 2, 3, 4 times. Sacramento area, we've seen an increased demand of maybe 400%.
Disabled vet Mike Taylor says he and his wife, who's furloughed from her job, are having a hard time.
I get paid once a month, and I have a house in Fox Hill. My wife is out of work because she works for Colonial Williamsburg. It is really rough out here.
Desperate and down to her last $3, Stephanie Moore waited in line several hours for the free groceries.
Oh, I appreciate it so much because I really did need some food.
While the pandemic has adversely affected major farm operations, smaller farms are adopting new ways to meet demand. With stay-at-home orders in place, business is booming here at Full Quiver Farm in Suffolk, Virginia, as a growing number of customers request food deliveries to their homes. Forced to shut down their stand at a local farmer's market, Scott and Allison Wilson found a way to keep selling their grass-fed beef, chicken, pork, and dairy products.
Our main ways of reaching customers have been farmers markets, some deliveries, and then coming to the farm. But once things started changing, we took something we were already doing, which is some deliveries 2 days a week. So that increased within a week to 4 days a week.
The all-natural products are delivered with social distancing in mind.
They leave a cooler there for us. They order online through our website and shopping cart. They pay online, and we actually go to their house, open their cooler and leave it there. They don't have to have any physical interaction, which makes everyone feel comfortable.
Meanwhile, as the impact of the deadly pandemic lingers, Joyner says the need to feed more people is also likely to last.
This is going to be a long-term issue and not just solved in the next month or two.
CBN's Operation Blessing is also mobilized to help meet the need. In the last 2 weeks, they have given out more than 45,000 pounds of food.
As we looked at the impact that children being home from school and parents having hours cut or actually losing their jobs completely, we knew that we needed to get involved.
Produce, shelf-stable products, and non-perishable items are now available each week at the organization's distribution centers. Robin Ross says access to free groceries has lifted a weight off her shoulders, given the recent loss of her job.
That means at least one problem right now I don't have to worry about. I know me and my grandson will have food, and I can concentrate more on trying to figure out how to do my room rep.
And one less burden to bear in these uncertain times. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Coming up, see how one Detroit nonprofit is doing their part to help doctors and nurses during this COVID-19 outbreak. That story right after the break.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Welcome back to the show. A really cool story to share with you. A Detroit nonprofit group is doing their part to provide essential supplies to doctors and nurses during this outbreak. The Empowerment Plan hires homeless women and trains them to become full-time seamstresses. They normally make a coat that transforms into a sleeping bag to give to the homeless. They've switched gears for now to make personal protection equipment for hospitals. The small group of 14 have made 1,300 isolation gowns. Empowerment Plan founder and CEO Veronica Scott told CBN News this allows them to help those on the front lines and still provide work for their employees.
You know, we got the call to action that the world needed sewers, which there's not many of those opportunities out there. And our production for coats was shut down anyway. And this is a really a continuation of our mission. Our coats serve a very important need in the communities across the globe. And now with isolation gowns, it's another product that is going directly to those that are serving on the front lines right now, that are risking their lives and livelihood to serve us. So it's a really amazing opportunity. I know we're all excited to be able to do that.
That is so awesome. Well, folks, that is it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel anytime. From all of us here in the studio and the control room, have a fantastic day, guys. Bye. Ciao.